Yeah, man. You're the first. Like I was off camera, I said you're the first person to know what these microphones are right away. And you're like, is it a this or that? I'm like, it's a this. That's good. And you're also the first person to, when I did a sound check, you're like, okay, yeah. Okay, now this is me being excited. So you know, because I always have to tell everybody else, let me know, like, raise it up. Raise it higher, like,
you don't want the clip. You can't recover audio when it's clipped.
Exactly.
I just want to apologize also for eating, but some people need coffee to start the day. Yeah. I need like straight up protein, like real food.
Yeah. We'd be on set, and you'd just be like, dude, where's like, I need some protein, bro. You'd be like, I need some protein. Like, what the fuck, man? Yeah.
And we'd raid Crafty, and I'd eat like 5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Dude. No, that's you. You eat all the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Like, why do I do that?
I don't know, man, because peanut butter, like, it's been fucking up my stomach since I turned 30. Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the Set Breaker Podcast. Today, we have a guest.
That's
His name is Joshua.
Yes, Joshua
Green with an E on the end. Okay.
Don't even do that to me, bro. There's no E at the end.
I won't. So, guys, if you're watching this at home on YouTube, this is a very good-looking dude, which is why he came here.
Wow.
From Texas.
Wow. Okay.
To be a model and actor. But number one, actor.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for understanding that you need to clarify.
Yeah.
For identity purposes, not for hiring purposes.
Because you're not a stupid dummy.
All right.
Who just wants to just be like, yeah, bro, look at me and look at my body. Like, because it's interesting because we talk about, I remember we'd have conversations and then you'd be like, dude, I'm not just trying to, like, this isn't just all me. This isn't all I am. And it's funny because I used to not empathize with like good looking dudes. And I'm like, dude, it's just easy, like this and that. But then it's like, it makes sense because then I started to slowly meet, well, it was only 2 good looking guys I talked to that would talk about this, where they don't want to be just judged based off of their looks. Correct. Right. So you want to go into that? What comes with that?
Yeah. Well, I will say also socially, it's like, it's very lame for a good looking guy to complain about that. Like girls can have that conversation, I feel like, and they'll have some empathy. When a guy does it, you're like, bruh, you know what I mean?
Humble brag.
Yeah, exactly. Either comes across as a humble brag or people are like, not relatable, like find a different thing to complain about. And you're not mean to complain. It's just that everybody who they are is different from how they look and what they do. And so you don't want to just be seen as that, you know? Even if that's how the world works, you still fight for, hey, like, see who I really am, whether I'm intelligent, whether I'm creative, whether I'm not funny, but I try to be. Like, I want you to enjoy my personality and not just automatically assume everything you think you know me just because of how I look.
Yeah. Okay. So would you like to give some examples?
I don't know, dude. What's crazy is what's funny is the more I think about it, the more I've realized I've blocked it off because I know I'm not allowed to like complain about that. So if I like try to go back, I've already dismissed it and like, you know, that's just how life is. And like, there's such a privilege to being good looking. Like you shouldn't remember the complaints situations.
I totally understand you on that because like, that's how you, that's like a defense mechanism. And it's also a way for you to focus on the things that do matter. So you kind of compartmentalize that in like a little cubby or like attic.
Yeah.
With like dust building. And you're like, I don't need to touch that. And then you go back to you pull out this fucking jumpsuit. You're like, dude, this doesn't fit me anymore. Yeah. This was 10 years ago. I'm a medium now.
Dude, I remember an example that's pretty relevant, actually. Yeah. That's pretty recent, I meant. I remember I was working at a church, and my dad was a pastor. That's the thing. So I've always grown up going to church, sort of doing that. And this past church I was at, I remember one of the pastors, like, all he kept seeing me as, like, I remember when I was first there, they're like, I felt like it got in the way of me actually doing the job.
Wait, sorry, is that Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, that's Robert Downey Jr.
I was like, is that an Asian guy or is that Robert Downey Jr. wearing a panda?
Yeah. So, story about this. Shirt. I'm a huge Robert Downey Jr. fan.
Yeah. Wait, real quick. For those that are only listening, he's got a shirt on where it's Robert Downey Jr.'s face in black and white with stubble, who's wearing, or like a kind of a beard, wearing sunglasses where you can't see his eyes, and he's wearing a panda cap.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So continue.
And I'm a huge Robert Downey Jr. fan, and I remember in like 2013, 14, he did an Omaze event, which Omaze is a company that uses celebrities to raise money for charities, where you get to donate some money, have a chance to meet them. So I was like, huh. And so it was like, I think $10 or $5 was the minimum. And you get like a digital thing that says thank you from Omaze, which is super lame. But if you spent $25, you got a couple more entries and you got this shirt. And I was like, huh, at least I get a shirt, even if I don't meet them, if I spend the 25. So Omaze knows what they're doing because I did it and I got the shirt and I proudly wear it. And the quality is actually pretty good. I was expecting that you get it and it'd be like one of those really crappy shirts that you wash it twice.
Flakes off.
Yeah. Or it like shrinks super crazy. So anyways, that's a side story about that.
Cool. All right, going back to it. Story of...
Yeah. And so I felt like it always got in the way because people kept seeing me as, oh, because you look this way, especially in like church ministry, then there's like red flags. Which honestly, with all the news coming with churches and like abuse of powers, especially in like youth ministry and stuff like that, I can kind of see that. But I didn't know how I could prove myself track record wise because I'd show up early, I'd hustle, I would grow personally, I would sacrifice, I'd make it a priority. I would like show up even when I wasn't getting paid, just to like come to meetings and stuff. And it seemed like I could never break through the barrier. And I just hate talking about it because I don't want to say it was just because the way I looked, but I did feel like it had a factor in it. And it's crazy is I meet a lot of people who in this industry, they are good looking and stuff, and they carry themselves way different than I do. They carry themselves like they know that their worth is in their looks. So they have to always smile. They have to always be like kind of cool and like kind of personal. And they always have like this like $1 million smile, right? And there's no depth when you talk to them. And maybe that's just because that's the way they feel like they have to present themselves in public to where like no one wants to hear how you really feel. But I don't carry myself that way. And so I don't know. I never figured out what it was. And I remember the moment I told that pastor, I was like, I'm not going to be at this church anymore. I'm going to LA to do stuff. And the first thing he says, oh yeah, you're going to be a model, right? So after I spent like 6 years busting my butt and like not caring about my looks and caring about like my job and ministry and people and like growing on this and making it like my number one priority, the moment I'm like, oh, yeah, I think I'm gonna move to LA and I just feel like God's calling me there. And the first thing he says, yeah, you're gonna be a model, right? And that's like obviously all he could see me as. And so the moment I even said anything associated close to that, it was like, yeah, of course you're gonna be a model. Like it was very weird.
That's a backhanded compliment, actually. Because you got to understand, a lot of guys around good-looking dudes get very insecure. Very insecure. They project. And that's what I'm going to tell you as somebody who used to be like that. I used to, dude, like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And this is before I found myself like in this journey and stuff where I found my worth and I didn't have to feel all insecure anymore.
Yeah.
But I would meet these guys that are like extremely good looking and I'd feel threatened by them. I'd be like, oh, you know, he's like, I would do what they would do to you. I would be like, oh no, they're just fucking dumb and they just get, yeah, whatever. They get pussy, but like, are they funny? Like, can they do other stuff? No, they can't. You know, just and they didn't do anything wrong to me. They didn't do, and I'm friends with some of these people.
Yeah.
To this day. And I think about it sometimes and I'm like, man, I feel bad, you know? But I get it because that was me at a certain place in my life, right?
Yeah.
So when people say stuff like that, it's not an actual compliment.
Yeah.
It's a backhand.
Well, it didn't feel like a compliment.
Yeah, your gut told you it wasn't.
And if it was really meant to be a compliment, people are really good at letting you know if it's a compliment. And what it felt like was, I felt demeaning, to be honest with you.
And you know what? That means that's passive aggressive tactic. And that means that they didn't 100% like you because they felt insecure about you. Especially when they find out that you're not stupid and you actually have a personality, that bothers them even more. And they're like, fuck, something's wrong with this guy. So let me be passive aggressive. You're going to be model, right? In LA, right? You're going to.
What's funny is like, I would go to Bible studies or at this church or other places, and people would just assume this guy's just here because he's just trying his life. He probably screwed up in high school, did all these crazy things, partied, burnt out, and it's like, oh, I need to recover some of my soul, so I'm gonna be a Christian. Like, because that's like it's really common.
Like it's like a celebrity tabloid, right? Like
yeah. And I'll be honest, that does happen a lot. Now, I'm not as judgmental about it because I'm like, I'm just happy people have found peace and like have come to Christ either way. Like that's all I care about. I'm not going to judge you about your past because Jesus doesn't. He's like, dude, come. So for me, what's really funny is the moment we start that Bible study, I know way more than everyone in the room, but I don't like to wear that. Like, again, what purpose does that serve? Like, hey, guess what? My dad went to seminary and I went to seminary and I know more than everyone in the room. No one cares except for like a small select group of people. So you should see the looks on their face is so funny when we're like talking about stuff. And I'm like, well, you said it was in the book of Mark, but actually it's in the book of 1 Corinthians, two completely different authors. And this is the context. And they're like, dead silent. because they just assumed I'm an idiot because of the way I look.
Oh my God, Daisy, he knows the gospel.
And then most of the responses always is like, oh, was your dad a pastor or something? And I was like, yeah, actually he was. It's like, they're still trying to find ways to like knock me down.
Fuck, dude.
And I'm like, what's the deal with that, man?
So did that affect, I mean, you've probably gone through that for like years, right?
Ever since college. I had
So
really like
that's
awkward
years.
high school, middle school years.
Okay, so like Joe Coy, because you're both half Filipino, half white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a town that was like, it was West Monroe, Louisiana. There weren't any Asians. Like, if I come here, people look at me, they're not going to be like, oh, you're the Asian guy, right? Yeah. They'll be like, hey, you look like you're ethnic, multi-ethnic and stuff. But there's like people that are like 100% Asian and like more in touch with their, what's it called? Their culture. In the Philippines, in West Monroe, Louisiana, I was raised as like a very white American. But because the way I looked compared to everyone else, I was the most Asian thing they've ever seen, which is crazy when you think about it.
They'd be able to point out that you were mixed Asian, but over here people think you're Hispanic.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And so it was really funny because I grew up and I was like, well, I'm really proud of being Asian, but at the same time, there was a disconnect, especially when it came to like fitting in socially or dating girls, where they're like, like socially, we want to date like our own kind.
Would they say that, or?
Well, that's how their actions were.
Oh, and you did it'd be like inferred and carry themselves with that.
So I always had this thing of like feeling really weird about myself and not fitting in. So it was a mixture of just the awkwardness. I'll be honest, high school was awkward. Yeah. And then also being like an outlier. People were nice about it, but not enough to where like they want to be personal. So it's like, oh, they just acknowledged me as the Asian guy. But the moment I got into college and on, I was just known as like, oh, that cute guy who has a really weird sense of humor.
Okay. And obviously you liked that level up, but then from there, then it went from like, I don't want to be just like that guy.
Yeah, I like the fact that people seem to want to get to know me until I figured out why. And then like it stopped at that. So there's, I don't know, I can get deeper if you want. Like,
no, dude, totally. Yeah.
All right, basically,
you got to understand, this is stuff that people don't really talk about, that I'm actually curious about.
Yeah.
That I think people should know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will preface it with this. To me, it was important to look back at my past and see all that, to do more self-discovery and self-learning about why I am the way I am and the decisions I made. Not to necessarily say everyone else, judge everyone else. But growing up, the reason it was also awkward was because I grew up as like a pastor's kid, and not the kind where I like smoked weed and like hooked up all the time, like the opposite extreme where I was like super like reserved and like stayed at home all the time. I never dated anybody, never kissed a girl. Like, it'd been one of these things to where, especially trying to date in college, not having that background in college is a big hookup moment in people's lives. It's really awkward to connect. So people think you're good looking and like they're thinking, cool, like maybe I can find a situation where I'm going to like hook up with this guy. But I don't go to parties. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I actually want to spend time in conversation and get food and hang out with groups of friends. Then it would be like discouraging to people. They're like, well, I'm looking for a hookup. I would like it to be a good looking person, but I'm just looking for a hookup. And so there'd be like disconnects where I don't understand that mentality, because that's not where I'm at. I'm like, I'm looking for like meaning and substance and like growing a real friendship. And people are like, I'm just looking for a physical and emotional fix or sexual fix. So then as a good looking guy, that's the only purpose you serve for a lot of girls. So then I would feel really lame. Like, no one wants to hang out with me. No one wants to talk to me. But yet they were so interested and like gave me all this attention for like a week. Next thing you know, like then they just ignore me.
Really?
I didn't know why.
So then they'd ignore you.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's like, and are we talking about like you would hook up with them and then a week later they'd...
No, I wouldn't hook up.
Because you refused to hook up.
Well, I didn't have that mentality, and like that wasn't my natural bent towards anybody, even someone I was attracted to just try to like get them alone and hook up with Netflix and chill.
Yeah. Netflix and chill now is Disney Plus and fuck. But
Thrust. Plus and thrust, right?
Yeah. You want a Mandalorian and get in your...
DeLorean?
I don't know. Anyways. So then you can empathize with women that are very attractive that have to deal with that all the time.
Like, I was already close to my mom. So I think when you're really close to your mom and you grow up around women that you trust and you get close to, and it's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
And you like talk about everything. Like I told my mom all my crushes. I told my mom like almost everything. Wow. So like there's that transparency there. And I knew my mom had my back and cared about me. So what's funny is I feel like most of my female friends are people that they probably would hate to be complimented like this, but it's a compliment, are more motherly in relationships. Like they really care about you and they'll stick up for you and they want to make sure you're doing okay and they check up on you. Like all my female friends that I'm close to are like that, as opposed to being hot.
Okay. See, that proves further why it's so important to have like healthy parents. Now, okay, I'm not necessarily saying like the parents with each other. I mean, that matters too, but the fact that you and your mother have such a good relationship, that teaches you to have a healthier relationship with females. Because me and my mom aren't close like that. We are not. So I have a hard time with intimacy. And actually, my close friends that are females don't fucking stand up for me. And funny enough, I told you this on the phone, but I don't want to say lose, but I ended a friendship with somebody who I thought I was close to for 6 years.
Yeah.
Who was still hanging out with my ex. By the way, I broke up like 3 weeks ago. He's the only friend of mine that still hangs out with the ex-girlfriend and would constantly tell me, I'm neutral. I'm neutral. And I'm like, I don't know. You're saying neutral so much. I don't think you're neutral.
If you really were neutral, you wouldn't have to tell me a billion times.
Exactly. Especially, but here's the thing. The first sign was when I told her about the car attack, where like, people don't know this, but to sum it up, me and Max got into an argument. She was driving. She like snapped, sped past the stop sign in our neighborhood, skidded down, made a left, and then there was another stop sign where you can go right or left, and then she made a blind turn onto it like that in a neighborhood where there's people where I fucking live on, where people jaywalk and they hang out, whatever, like work on their cars in the streets. Could have killed us. Onto oncoming traffic too. Comes to the front of my gate and goes, get the fuck out. I'm like, okay, I am, and I stick a foot out. And then before it touches the floor, barely touches the floor almost, she gasses at 5 feet and it comes to a stop and she's like, get the fuck out. I'm like, dude, what do you think I'm fucking trying to do? Okay, and I stick my foot out and my toe touches the floor, my right toe, and then she gasses it again like 5 feet and then like skids to a stop and she's like, get the fuck out. I'm like, I'm gonna call 911, you fucking psychopath. And she's like, do it. I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, let me out. And I stick my foot out, my foot touches the floor. She gasses it a third time, 5 feet, comes to a stop, and then she's like, get the fuck out. And I'm like, please let me out. I'm begging you. And then she lets me out, and then we dated for like another month. But and here's the thing. I told my friend that, right? I like that you're still laughing, even though you already know the story. You're just like,
well, you didn't say it like. Again, I'm hearing it fresh. I saw an Instagram clip. So it's
I never
different.
told you?
Nah, bro. I saw the Instagram
That's
clip.
why I rushed through the story, because I don't want to like. I thought you were like, oh my, good. Do it for the camera.
I mean, I'll always do it, but I mean, honestly, I've only seen the Instagram clip from your stand-up.
Because it's different when it's in person, right? And here's what that friend said when I told her that. She's the only friend that said this. Well, there's two sides to every story. And that's when I felt like, I don't think you care about me at all.
Yeah.
Because I think you're making me, because it's easy to demonize me because I'm the male in it and I'm outspoken, and she's seen my ups and downs.
Yeah.
She's only known the ex for a year. And she's good on, the ex is good at putting on a face. I'm so sweet, I'm a victim, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's the type of person where I remembered it this morning, actually. She lives at her former friend's house with her parents. And the parents know she doesn't like her, but they empathize with the ex more than the daughter. She's really good at garnering, at winning people over, using that sympathy card, right? Bit of a parasite. But anyways,
that's also... This is judgmental, but it's kind of a reflection on the parents, man. Like, I know parents to a fault that will stick up for their family overtly, and they'll have their disputes or their correction in private. Yes. Even if it's an ex that they're like, oh, I wish it works out. And so I'm saying, to me, that seems judgmental, but as a parent, I would never take my kid's ex side overtly. I would talk to my kid in person and be like, hey, did you do this to this girl? Or whatever. Unless don't go extremes. Like, of course, if you like raped a girl or like whatever, like I'd be like, that's wrong. Like, you deserve the punishment. But I'm talking about like a breakup or like disputes, I would never take my kid's ex's side overtly.
Yeah. So that's a bad sign. And then going back to my former friend, that the friendship I ended 2 days ago. I made it because I posted this clip of me talking about, and I'm doing stand up talking about couples therapy when I went to couples therapy with my ex, and then she DMs me, my former friend DMs me saying, "Hey, that's too private. You should take this down." And I'm like, okay, we're not together. It's been weeks, and I'm not even saying her name. So what? She's like, "You're ridiculing her. It's rude. Like, you don't even care about that you were together." I'm like, well, you know what? If she cared that we were together, she would have taken my offer to meet in person and then end it mutually, in the right way.
Yeah.
Even though because she's the one that ended it on the phone, like, whatever, we're done. And I'm like, fuck. But I was like, thank you for the relationship. I really do appreciate it. I learned a lot. And I texted her. I'm like, it would be great if we could meet, like, sometime later, just to end it. Just in person, because it'd be nice, right? She blocked me and wouldn't respond. So you're expecting me to fucking do something? But anyways, so then I called my friend, and then she was like, "Look, Mike, the reason why I said that is because I am worried that people are going to think you're too easy and you put everything out there, and then they're going to take advantage of you." And then I was like, well, what about the clips where I post up of my dad, like, throwing my mom around or bullying me or me doing drugs? Why didn't you come in for that? Why didn't you say anything about that?
Yeah.
And then after like 40 minutes of conversation, I got her to admit. She put me in circles, by the way, just like blah, 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 blah. She admitted, okay, you know what? Your ex, she saw the clip.
Mm-hmm. I knew it.
Even though I blocked her, she saw the clip, and she asked me to get you to take it down. And I was like, wow. So you've been attacking me, yelling at me, telling me all the reasons of why I'm a bad person and doing horrible things. You chose a fucking side. You've been chose a side. And I was like, 6 years?
Yeah.
I always say history does not equal loyalty, and history doesn't mean shit. But in those 6 years, we really got to know each other. There was a lot of ups and downs. So this one was like a shock to me. So it fucked me up for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I had to end a friendship with a close female friend, because I can end friendships with males just easily because I've been fucked over. So I'm like, okay. But I always like look at females as like, oh, they're angels. And now I'm like, no, they're humans, man. They
are humans. Yeah.
They can be just as manipulative and conniving as males. And that one really shocked me.
I'm sorry, man.
And no, I'm fine now.
I know, but still,
glad
like,
it ended.
It always stinks. Like 6 years, bro.
Yeah.
You would think.
And here's what she said when I texted her, like, I don't want to be friends anymore because I don't trust you. And then she said, Mike, like, I don't count friendship by the years, and we didn't even really know it. We didn't even really know each other. We didn't really like get to know each other. And I was like, we would have so many one-on-one like lunches or like phone calls or texts.
Yeah.
And we're sharing shit we went through.
Yeah.
That's how you know this person is just going off of emotion and then changing the narrative.
Wow.
At least I can admit if shit's like fucked up on my end.
Yeah.
I can still like be accountable for myself, but that's what happened, man.
Dude, that stinks. Yeah. But in the same way, you have clarity on that. So you can like,
I do. And I got to be a little bit more like you and make better female friends.
Dude, honestly, I don't know what it is, why it is the way it is. It's just how it's always been,
It's
man.
because you had a healthy, somebody to look up to. Mm-hmm. So like a healthy, what's the word? Fucking example, healthy example.
Yeah.
That was actually like you're living it with the parent.
From not just my mom, my sister too. Like my sister always had my back.
So you had more than one. That was very.
Bro, I remember in high school I had a crush on this girl, and she was like 1 year younger than me. She was about to graduate high school. She was in the same grade as my sister, and we connected and bonded over like music and stuff, and like in church and all these things. So I'd moved back from Atlanta and I was living in Louisiana again. I was talking to this girl. I was like, she was really cute. Told my sister about it. And then all of a sudden she got like kind of weird and ghosted me. I think she was talking to another guy, which again, it's fine. Like, but you don't have to ghost people if you're like, hey, I'm talking to someone. That helps a lot as opposed to just ignoring someone. They're like, what's going on? Yeah. She then saw my sister like at school, like and stuff. My sister was like, hey, have you talked to Josh lately? And she's like, oh, your brother's so annoying. And my sister lit that girl up. She's like, well, y'all were talking and y'all were hanging out, and then all of a sudden you ignored him. So of course he's gonna like contact you, make sure everything's okay. She's like, is he stalking you? No. So why are you freaking out about it? She like actually stuck up for me. I've never had anyone stick up for me before that, because I'll always take the blame, because that's how I learned in the way I was raised under my dad was like, you always take the blame, you always absorb it, and the problem is you need to work harder. And so because of that, I carried that with me, and I've never had anyone stick up for me until my sister. And I remember looking at her, I started crying, and I was like, I don't know how to process this. Like, I've never had anyone stick up for me before. And she's like, well, you need better friends then, is what she told me. And ever since then, I started looking for better friends.
So you'll look. What are some kind of qualities that you'll see in a friend that makes you feel like, you know, I can trust them and they will get my back? Or is it like a feeling?
When you always want to connect organically on something, whether it's shallow or deep, when you talk to someone. That's just basically like human connection. But then after that, I can only trust people who aren't scared to show their non-polished sides. So when someone lets you see your flaws, they share like issues. And a lot of times the girls I'm friends with, people think they're crazy because they'll talk about how frustrated they are about something, even if it's not fair. And they'll wear that ugly side overtly in conversation. And people are like, oh, you're so crazy. Like, keep it under control. So when I'm friends with people, whether guys or girls, like you're this way, you talk about everything really, really transparently with people you trust, right? I can't be friends with people who are always, everything's good, everything, they understand what's going on, they have an answer to everything, or they have a story. Like no matter what you talk about, they'll interrupt your conversation, and next thing you know, they're talking about, oh yeah, that reminds me of when I went to Cancun, Mexico.
Oh, we know somebody like that.
Well, I know a lot of people like that.
But we know somebody
we
like
do.
That. We don't gotta say the name, but we do. We know. Yeah.
And so always shy away from those people, and because you can't vibe with that. You're like, dude, literally, you're sucking all the life from the conversation, and also I can't really get to know you because you're putting up this wall of like this image of being perfect and complete and knowing everything. So it's really hard also because when you grow up with the vibe that my mom and Priska's my sister gave off, you just sort of get attracted to that vibe. You can't really describe it, you know?
No, I totally understand.
Because it's home for me. I get attracted to home.
Yeah, and see, that's why I'm really glad that you had such great like family examples of that, because that's why my dating life has always been with people that I need to save, because my dad was overbearing and like, you know, very mean and like ruled with the fucking iron fist. So even though in my head I was like, that's fucked up, that's home for me. That's why I keep dating these victims that play victim.
Yeah.
So when you say, you know, putting everything out there, there's other side to that. Some people put things out there in a way where it's they're always victim, where they don't hold themselves responsible. And that's the people I tend to get attracted to. Like, I can't tell you, man, like, I can't tell you how many times I've dated girls and I get turned on because they tell me, like, my ex, he keeps, like, trying to contact me and he's rude and he yells at me and then I'm getting fucking hard. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, dude. And I found that happening recently this week. Like,
you're playing that damsel in distress thing.
Yes. I always love to play the fucking white knight, dude. Like, and then I would make fun of other dudes. I'm like, you know what? They would do that. And I was like, I don't do that no more. But I fucking still do it. It's so ingrained within me. It's like unconsciously.
Bro, I want to encourage you though, know that's like part of all guys' DNA. So it's not just the fact you grew up with it. Yeah. So maybe it might be a little more extreme in your case, but it's still like base wise, all guys have that kind of innately built in. Where like we want to step up and do the right thing, or at least be seen doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, doing like that man shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
let me. Oh, your car's having issues. Let me look at it. Even if I don't know what I'm doing under there, I'm just like twisting like the oil cap or whatever, thinking I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna like look like I know what I'm doing because I want you to like associate me with like being able to solve your problems.
And confidence. Like the guy that's always just like a rock. Like you can depend on the person, right? Yeah. We do that.
Yep.
Damn, man. It's crazy. Look at me just being introspective right now.
Dude, just take some time thinking about it. How much time we got till the next?
Oh, we got like 10, 11 minutes.
I meant like until the thing cuts off.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I'll touch base with this. So one of the things I described my dad being really hard on me, right? And we had a lot of disconnect, which
by the way, you do this thing where you always kind of pause in a sentence just a little too long. You know, remember we talk about that?
Yeah. It's because I know where I'm going. I'm like, where am I going with this?
There's this thing where my dad's, you know, he's always hard and on me. You can't pause. There's a split second pause to where it's
here's what's funny. Like if I would do that intentionally, I'd be a comedian, but I don't do it intentionally, so I'm just like really bad at my choices.
I know, but it cracks me up, and I'm like, dude, we gotta work on that, man.
Can I redo that? Let's rewind. Yeah, there we go. There was this. So I just described my dad being hard on me, right? Being crazy tough on me, and that really bothered me for a long time, and I was really upset with him. Like I'm gonna tell you some extreme examples. And for example, I was in college working 3 part-time jobs while also a full-time music major, taking 21 hours a semester, while also being one of the only piano majors. So I would have to accompany other students, vocal students. I would have to accompany 3 junior recitals. I accompanied the jazz band. I was a jazz band piano player, and I had to put on my own hour-long recital junior year. And then senior year was the same workload. I had to put on an 1.5-hour recital. That's a lot of time in the practice room. I didn't have a chance to breathe or like have any personal time, but I was doing what I love as opposed to choosing a major that my parents wanted me to do that I didn't like. During that time, I was cast as Link Larkin in Hairspray, which is like a musical. It was a lead. I've never done it before, and it was a great opportunity for me to do something like that. Like I've never done it, but I had the opportunity to do it, and I was so excited. And my dad, no lie, tried his hardest to get me fired from that. And his thing was, well, you have your responsibilities here at the house to take care of my house because you live here. And if you do that, then you won't be able to be here cleaning the house once a week. You'll be too busy for the 3 months. And I was like, I understand, but the reason I'm in college is not to do that, but it's to like get as much experience. And I didn't think that was, I stuck up for a little bit. Honestly, that's what I'm used to. It wasn't until I shared it with like the other people in the cast or the director or like other adults where they're like, you know, most parents want, when their kids are in college, want their kid to experience as much as possible and get ready for the workforce. But your dad seems to only care about you staying in that house and taking care of him for the rest of his life because he's alone. So that happened. There was another time where I was like leading worship and volunteering at a local like college ministry. And that's why I love doing music and stuff. And I had the ability. And the thing is, when you do something you're good at and there's a need for it, you feel really fulfilled, right? You're like, dang, no one else is stepping up to do this or has the ability to. And I'm here, I can do it. And so you step up to try to fill that gap. And it feels great. And my dad, no lie, like went to there and made sure I couldn't do that. Even though I was working 3 part-time jobs and a full-time student.
He went to the college?
Mm-hmm. And made me quit. And he's like, if you have enough time to volunteer for that, you have enough time to get another job and work more hours.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude. Like that was what I grew up with. And so obviously there was a lot of hurt and bitterness. Even to this day, like I think I've dealt with a lot of it, but there's stuff that's going to come up. And where I was like, my dad has crazy issues. He's control freak, all this stuff, right? But one of the things I started to realize was that just in general, you tend to not like people who remind you of your own flaws. So for example, one of my flaws is I love being the center of attention. I love being noticed. So when I see someone who goes on set when I don't know anybody, right, where you're like kind of being judgmental to figure out where you fit in this like crazy hierarchy of like high school cafeteria, but everyone's new as being an extra on set. And you see someone come in all bubbly and try to act like they know everybody and like do stuff. Like it's really easy for me to be like, that dude's like attention whore, like to knock them down because it reminds me of my flaws. You know what I'm saying?
I'm the same fucking way.
And so I say that on the same, associating that with my relationship with my dad is because I realized my dad really did care about me. But whenever you raise your son, you want the best for him. And I bet you my dad started to see his own flaws in me. And that's why he was such a hard ass on me. Because he's like, I want to hand my kid the best. I want him to do better than me. And I don't want to hand him any of my flaws. And so he's doing his best to like hammer those out. And I interpret that as my dad doesn't care about me. I'm not saying he did it a healthy way, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is, especially talking to other fathers. And as I'm growing as a man myself and dealing with stuff, I'm realizing if I were to have a kid at 28 and not knowing this, I would have been the exact same way with my kid. Oh, you don't wake up late. You don't miss your homework. You practice piano for 30 minutes. You have time to goof off with friends. You have time to sharpen your math skills. Like I understand that more now because the truth is I didn't deal with my own insecurities and imperfections. So I didn't want to see them in my kid.
But doing things now in the controlling area, doing things like going to your school to get you to fucking quit college, that's different though. Because my dad was just like your dad. You know, extremely controlling in every area of my life, which is why I think we connect as friends too, because we had to learn how to suppress our own, you know, Like I'm sure you'd also express yourself, and you would just get shut down.
Oh, for sure.
So you'd learn to just like you said, blame yourself and accept that guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me, it's on me. So you're never really sure when something you feel is valid.
Yeah.
And here's what I found out when I was just really looking into my childhood trauma and stuff. Like, our dads were also just human, like we talk about what females are just human too. And humans feel jealousy. They feel jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad doing that to you, he was jealous that you're young and you're doing things and capitalizing on your talents.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, that was like your dream, right?
Kind of, yeah. Actually.
Kind of a dream. It's part of it. Something that you really wanted. That bugs him just the way it bugged my dad. That they're at the age of 50, 60, and most of their life is already done, and they feel stuck.
Yeah.
So they sabotage their own offspring, because my dad would do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other side of that, which is still sad. But it wasn't only just, I want Josh to be better.
Yeah. It
was him projecting himself in that area as well.
Yeah. What's crazy is my mom told me growing up, there were so many opportunities for me to get into showbiz and modeling as a kid, even early.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, we were taking pictures as a family, and we were like a poor family. And there'd be photographers being like, "Hey, I got this connection, and like your son could be a Gerber baby." Next thing you know, I grow up, and they're like, "Your son could be on like the Disney Channel." Like, there are all these people like, "I have connections, do this." My mom's like talking to my dad, "Hey, we should consider this." And my dad was really, really, really firm on, "No, we're doing my career path, and everything's going to fall in line with supporting my career path." Even though there were times when we were on welfare because he didn't have a job. And instead of saying, "I'm going to help my son and get these opportunities that are coming for him," he was like, "No, like there are no open doors unless they work for my career."
That's very selfish. It's very selfish, because if he really was, cared about the family, then he would know being a Gerber baby brings even more money, and that could help support the family too, right? And it'd help you. So that's what I'm saying. Jealousy, and it's a form of control. He'd rather sabotage his own family and his life so that he feels better about himself, so that you guys need to depend on him, which is what my dad would do to us too.
Yeah. It's
a very fucking sad thing.
But again, the older I get, the more I realize like how human that is. I always think either my dad's the hero or he's completely the devil. Yeah. I have these extremes, not realizing that as humans, we wrestle between like doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing. And a lot of times we're blind to why we do them, And that's what's hard. That's why when people are like, I really need to take time to like take care of myself, know myself, and people make fun of them. They're like, "You're just being lazy, you're escaping work, or you're escaping responsibilities." It's like, nah, dude, you don't want to just run a rat race and not know who you are at the end of the day.
Yeah, because then you'll fucking be like 50 and be like, what did I do my whole life?
And you'll treat your kids wrong. You won't be able to empathize and love on your kids when they're going through that stuff, because you think that weakness is evil, not knowing it's just human.
Damn, that's some real shit. That's a Twitter quote right there. That's a Twitter quote, man.
Damn.
Fuck, dude. I feel like I have like every time I do these fucking podcasts, I'm the only one peeing like over and over. Like, I have to pee so bad, which I'm going to get up to pee soon, but literally, like, there was this one podcast where I peed every 20 minutes.
Okay.
I drink a lot of water, but I think it's also because I have a weak bladder, or maybe I just have a weak mind.
Maybe it's just the time of the day you do them.
Every 20 minutes in the podcast? I don't know, man. Because you're drinking like coffee, you drink tea, and like you don't pee as much as I do.
I peed before I came here, and that Starbucks.
But see, I already peed before you came here, like twice. I just keep peeing. I don't know what's wrong with my fucking thing.
I'm really proud of you for being hydrated, though.
You know what? Thank you for that. I love that positive. By the way, going back to earlier.
Yeah.
I wasn't demonizing your dad or my dad. It's just, we just.
But we have to be. I love talking to you because a lot of people, they'll try to get you to dismiss it. Like, oh, that's just because your dad loves you still. I'm like, you're still not dealing with it.
I hate that, man. That makes you feel guilty for how you feel.
Yeah. You're just automatically taking another person's side instead of empathizing with me and hearing my hurt. And I remember there was a pastor in West Monroe. He was the first pastor to look at me and be like, what your dad's doing is wrong. He's still your dad. You got to respect him. You got to honor him. But I don't want you to think that's right, because I don't want you to grow up with this thing of you're telling yourself a lie. Because he's like, it's obvious that you've done that most of your life and it's hurting you right now. It's why you process the world so weirdly, and a lot of things, your expectations aren't being met because you've been lying to yourself. He's like, someone's got to tell you the truth. He's like, what your dad's doing is hurting you and is wrong. He's like, but if you live in his household, then you need to honor his rules. If you don't want to honor his rules, you should move out. He's like, my son moved out. We have a good relationship, but he moved out because he didn't want to live by my rules. And I respect him for being a man and moving out. He's like, but if you live in your dad's household, what he's treating you is wrong, but you have to honor his rules.
Unfortunately, but that is the way it works. You gotta abide by the rules of the king in the kingdom, even if it's a dying rule of order.
And again, that's not to excuse extremes like abuse or physical harm or anything like that, or but like most people live in that realm where it's like it's not abuse, it's unfair, injustice. But if you want to live in that house, you got to like deal with that. But if you don't want to deal with it, like my sister moved out and she didn't have to deal with that crap.
And that's the way it is.
But I was like, I want to save money and I'm going to save my dad. Like that was literally my mindset. So I'm going to stay in that house and I'm going to like deal with all this.
Which you learned from your mom.
Yes. Wait, what were we talking about?
Sister? Something about a sister?
Yeah, she left the house.
Yeah.
She moved out because she didn't want to live by those rules, and she was sensing she was getting a lot of like she felt she was being emotionally abused, and what was crazy is not just parents, but you'll even have relationships with people who are really good at calling out how you react to their insecurities or their abuse, and then making you feel like the bad person.
Fuck my relationship.
But it was crazy when you grow up in that, you start, like I said, you just start to take the blame and you think it's all you. But now looking back with clarity, I've even had friends like this where it's never about why you did this. Like, for example, why did I like always want to leave the house, and like, why would I, I'm supposed to stay home or whatever. And I would like try to sneak out. Why is that? Because when I'm home, I am grounded and stuck in my room. I can't leave. I'm not thriving. I'm not growing. That side of being a teenager doesn't seem to be explored or even seen as a valid excuse for things, And I think that's why a lot of these really dumb, like coming to age comedies are so popular, because so many people feel like that in their teenage years, where their parents are just like trying to control them to make sure they don't make the mistakes that they made. Again, they're seeing their imperfections in their kid. Yeah. And so because of that, like, it's human nature, you need to grow and thrive, And whenever you suffocate someone, then of course they're going to act out. Luckily for me, I didn't act out by getting wasted or getting high or having drug issues or alcoholic issues, or even hooking up. I will say, this is like a plug. That's what music was to me. It gave me a healthy out to like deal with my issues lyrically and then emotionally. Like music, you get to share emotions without saying anything sometimes. So that was my way of like dealing with my issues, was music and movies, entertainment.
Damn, that's funny, because for me, that was the first way I learned to express emotion, because I didn't know how in high school. Then I learned I can sing, and then I would sing. And that was the one thing that made me feel like I could release that, because I didn't know how to make sense of it, right? Such as you, like you didn't really know how to make sense of these feelings we have inside. And my dad, when he found out I was taking lessons from my friend's mom and doing all this shit, he was like, "Oh, you could sing. Sing more at home. Practice more." And then later, when my grades weren't up to par, he's like, "All you do is sing. That's all you do. That's all you care about. That's why your grades are bad." I was going to lessons once a week at the end of a Friday after school.
Yeah.
For like an hour. You see what it is? Sabotage.
Oh, absolutely, man. Sabotage. What's crazy is what he may have intended on a good, like, well, maybe this is a good way for me to encourage me and connect with him, because he probably felt that disconnection. The older I get, I realize your parents aren't idiots. At the same time, he still isn't mature enough and whole enough to not sabotage what he's meant to start as good. I'm totally reading into this. I don't know your dad, obviously.
No. He was always doing that shit.
I'm just saying, like, from seeing other adults and seeing myself and my dad, like, realizing a lot of times you start out with good intentions, but then your demons you don't deal with, and then your flaws and your insecurities sabotage everything you try to start.
But also, those good intentions can still come from control. Like,
absolutely,
I'm the one that made it so my son did this.
My dad, who also, whenever I was in 6th or 7th grade, made me stop taking piano lessons, now tries to take credit for why I'm so good at piano.
But you see what I'm saying, right? That's why our dads are very similar. They develop this high level of narcissism out of like to protect their ego. Because their false self has completely taken over their true self. Yeah. So those few moments where you're like, "Oh, my dad's a fucking human," like he's like, "Oh, he really does care," gets overridden by decades and decades of this false self having to be there to protect himself.
Yeah.
And this protection mechanism could be also because he refused or didn't understand that he could, because back then, like, therapy and all that shit wasn't like, it's no self-improvement, no looking within as much. Mm-hmm. He just had to like deal with his shit and himself, and he didn't know any other way than to suppress it, and which led to self-hatred, which leads to destruction, and then you just kind of have to survive with your own burning ship. Mm-hmm. But the whole time the ship is constantly burning, but it's not going completely down because you're able to get pails of water and mm-hmm. douse the flame just enough for it to not completely burn to shit. Yeah. But over time, the ship does burn and it sinks. Yeah.
Dude, that got heavy.
Oh shit, did it?
Yeah, you just described it as like, what's it called? A hopeless burning ship in a way. You're like, there is hope, but chances are you're not going to ask for the help, so it's going down.
Yeah.
Which I will say is 100% true. I don't care how healthy you are. Like, if you think that you are an island and you're a self-sufficient island that doesn't need anybody else, you're doomed to fail. Which is hard for me to admit because I'm so independent. And there's a lot of ego there of like, no one helped me out. I got here, I had paid my own bills since I was like 16. I was out my own. No one even stuck up for me when I grew up. Like, all that's ego, man, and not realizing. And that was my dad's issue. My mom, during all this craziness, especially when they got divorced, like, she reached out for help. She accepted help. She asked for help, which is really hard to do as Americans, like to say, hey, I actually need help financially. I need help with my kids. I need someone to listen to me. I need community. Yeah. Like, that's a really vulnerable thing to say. And my mom wasn't scared to do that. And so my mom always had healthy friendships and she was able to weather hard times. My dad never asked for help. And his thing was, which I wish, I even tried to help him with this, is like that savior mindset of, he only reached out when he needed someone to accomplish something short-term for him.
For his goal.
And people would let him do that because they're like, well, he's reaching out. I don't want to like turn him away because then he might not reach out again, which is 100% true. Like, it might be a catalyst for him to start going into community, but he's like 70. He's not going to change.
It's not. No, dude. That dude. Wow, you have an old fucking dad. By the way,
yeah. And he doesn't look old. I'll say it like this: you see him, you'd be like, your dad looks like he's 58. I'm like, he's 70.
That goes against what we know for white people, because a lot of white people get tore up mm-hmm. when they're older. Like a lot. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they don't wear sunscreen when they go in the sun, because they love to go hiking.
He's a full head of hair that's not whitening yet, and I'm like, does he?
Are you kidding me?
I'm not, bro.
Because I'm already getting gray hairs and I'm losing my shit. Like I'm already thinking, like, dude, I might as well just shave my head bald just to get rid of it, like just to fucking get over this pressure. Like, when you have to pee, right? It's like that.
Yeah.
Damn, that's where you get your fucking crazy hair genetics from.
Yeah, I was really lucky. My dad and my mom, like, good
they
hair.
both do.
No, my mom's hair is starting to whiten a little bit.
Yeah, but what is she? Like 60 something?
She's like 69.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just started.
Like Asian, and Asian people love Koreans when it comes to like hair and makeup and stuff. And so my mom has like a Korean lady who like colors her hair and it always looks good.
Yeah, Korean women know how to get down in the salon.
Yeah, bro. They're super legit.
Yeah. Koreans, man. I mean, I used to complain to my, because I have like thick hair, and it doesn't do what your hair does, and I'd see all these Asian dudes with hair like you, and I tried to put product in it to make it do that, and it wouldn't work because it starts to kind of get wavy because it's so thick, it just falls from gravity. And I remember when I was a kid, I was getting my hair cut by the same Korean lady I was going to for so long, and then I was like a freshman in high school, and I was getting emotional, and I was like blaming her for my hair not being like that. I blamed the haircut lady.
Yeah.
And I almost started crying.
Oh no!
Like in freshman year of high school, like a fucking child, dude. It's so fucking weak, but it's ridiculous. Like I had
Michael,
such
love yourself. Love your old self.
I just had super high. I know. I don't hate on it. I'm like, fuck, that's weak. By the way, do you? I know because you've been on your own for like a while. Does it bother you that I'm 30 and I live at home?
No. Dude, you kidding me? Gary Vee is like one of the biggest motivational speakers and like what most alpha males aspire to be.
Yes.
I'm going to go there. Most alpha males are like, they talk like him. They start to impersonate him. He said if he wasn't married, he'd be living with his parents right now and just using his money to like invest in himself and like the things he understands business-wise.
Did he say that? Because I follow him all
literally
the
said
time,
that.
but I didn't see that one.
Yeah, dude. He said, man, if I was single, I would move in with my mom, use the extra money to build my Facebook and Instagram ad revenue. He's like, because that's how cheap it is right now. I guess I'm like plugging Gary Vee now, but
No, but Gary Vee is the shit. He's the reason why I left my last job and went for this, because there's a few key things he said. He said, one, you have to talk to all the people that are holding you back in your life. So you talk to all the people that are holding you back in your life, and then you have to, he would always say, you're gonna die anyways. You got to do what you want to do. You have to. And the way to do that is to talk to those people. So I talked to my mom, and then I talked to my friend who I was working with for doing digital marketing. Now, he always supported me, but in my head, mentally, I would hear his voice, because he was what I thought I wanted to aspire to be, because he's young, he made a lot of money, very self-sufficient businessman, and that's what my dad was. So I thought I had to be that. So in my mind, I was embarrassed to even be that creative, because nobody around me, I didn't know guys like you before background. Acting. I didn't know shit, so I was alone. I felt so alone. I was like, am I a fucking, is there something wrong with me? So I had like a 4-hour conversation with him where I was like, and I was like crying, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, because like he brought me on, and he was paying me out of his pocket for business. Yeah. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I hate everything. Like I don't know, and he like accepted it. And I told my mom, and of course she didn't 100% understand, because she's from Korea. She's like really out of touch with what's going on. And she's not very social and stuff. But by me telling both of them that, it alleviated some like so much of that mental shit in my head, like how they'd view me, how I'd maybe be judged. And then, and that led to me being more accepting of who I am, and then starting to pursue this shit. Yeah. All because of Gary Vee. Because he's always, people are like, he always repeats himself. I'm like, there's a reason why he repeats himself. I was watching the same shit for like 2 years before I did anything. Yeah. And
that's his thing. He's like, a lot of you guys will pay all this money to hear me talk, but you won't do it. And he's like, I'd rather you just leave right now and do what I've told you than to come to my freaking conferences. He says it all the time. Yeah. And that's what's funny is I've only heard like 3 Gary Vee things, because people keep reposting them. I'm like, I'll take a listen. And so part of him annoys me just naturally, because he's like, I've known people like that, and especially in high school and like college, where they like played sports, especially football, and they're all like, yeah, on your face, and like, I'm not scared to drop F-bombs and like be in your face and rude about what I'm going to say, because you should want the truth and you shouldn't care about your feelings getting hurt. Like, I've known those people, and they always annoy me. But the thing is, again, as I get older, I'm like, I need to put away my personal like feelings about things and listen to what they're saying. And so I hear what he's saying, I'm like, good for him. Like, he's saying really good stuff that needs to be heard.
Saying real shit. Like it really fucking, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if I didn't follow his shit and keep watching it.
Dude, give him some love right now. Be like, Gary Vee.
Gary Vee, thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for putting out constant content, and fuck the haters and people that say, oh, it's just self-improvement bullshit. It's like, no, because he's actually practical. He says, you got to take the action. He's like, fuck that nonsense of like positive, like just, oh, everything will be fine if I just think it'll be fine. Like, no, it's not. It's going to be like that.
Not just trying to like this speak happy thoughts and think happy thoughts, but actually doing something about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that reminds me of acting. At least when I took acting classes, and I found this very helpful in approaching acting. Most of what life is connecting actions. It's not thinking about how I want to feel in this moment. You're not like, you know what I'm saying? You're not trying to get ahead and trying to control how you feel and think, except for in really intense emotional moments. You're just doing stuff. You're being in the moment. So for example, let's say we're at a scene, and the scene calls for us to be at a restaurant talking about stuff. We don't have to think about, okay, what's my emotional state here, as much as we have to think about, let's just hang out and vibe for real in this restaurant. That's going to look better on camera than someone who's going to be there and be like, how am I supposed to approach eating this fry to where it looks natural? That's weird.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And the same, as I guess that's, in a way, that's why when I hear you talk about what Gary Vee was saying of like, don't try to like spend all your time trying to like make yourself think happy thoughts. Just do the work and like just get involved in doing the action, and it builds itself to like become a pattern of who you are through your actions.
Yeah, because address what's really going on out here, so that it'll automatically take care of what's in here in the brain, instead of just like positive. Because it makes those who are actually going through some kind of depression feel even more guilty about the way they feel. You know what I mean? It's a very I'm gonna unplug this goddamn refrigerator. It's fucking annoying. It's pissing me off because it's an old ass refrigerator that just. Anyways, sorry about that.
Cut.
No, we did that. I know. We're done.
Rolling.
Podcast motherfucking over, man. But yeah, man, like we gotta fucking take that action.
True. And the thing is, because I used to be depressed because of the way I was growing up, and you've been depressed.
Very depressed.
I know for me personally, I didn't get out of that mindset and that feeling stuck, the feeling and season until I started doing something different. Either I was moving out of my house, whether it was taking up something that my dad would never let me do, like singing, or like working at a musical theater for 6 years, like doing stuff that I want to do. It was like a doing thing. It wasn't like I sat in my room and just made myself think better and try to get over this stuff. Like that doesn't work. I'm gonna say it again. That stuff doesn't work. Like don't try to get over your issues and your depression or like your feelings by just watching Netflix or like staying in your room. Like do action. Then while you're doing the action, you can also start thinking about it, but you need to couple it with action, because without action and like doing something different, you won't have the foundation.
Movement is healing. Such as you said, you sit down and watch Netflix all day, you feel worse. Because when I was really depressed, like just less than 2 years ago or 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago, I was on this couch behind me, and I think for like a few months, literally, I would lay down on this couch sideways and watch Netflix for like 10, 12 hours a day. Just a few years ago. Wow. Yeah. Not even exaggerating.
Here's what's funny. Whenever I'm stuck working like on set, we're like doing 16-hour days, but we're doing like 5 days in a row. What's funny to me is the whole time I'm thinking like, I just wish I could stay at home and watch Netflix all day. But when you actually do that because you don't have anything else you're doing because you're depressed, it doesn't feel good.
I know, right? So it's funny how our brain thinks of a quote unquote solution, which is not an actual solution. Our brains want us to take the lazy way out, which leads to sadness. So we have to constantly fight that. It's not like a healthy response, but it's always fucking there. And speaking of which, Inception, right?
Yes.
I rewatched Inception yesterday. I've not seen the movie Inception in quite a while. By the way, if you guys haven't seen it, you could skip this part, whatever.
It's also on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. So
HD. So
if you haven't seen it, pause it, pause this podcast, and then watch the movie, which is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life, because I'm going to fucking go into some deep ass shit. So
let's go.
Watching that movie finally helped me come to terms with the reality of the situation with my breakup. Okay. It was very therapeutic. I cried a lot around the end of the movie. So, and here's why. Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and then there's Mal, who is his wife that passed away. So, in the movie, when who's that actor that's like came out as lesbian that she's like the architect in there?
Ellen Page?
Yeah, that chick, whatever her name is, right? Yeah, with the ponytail. Always
yeah.
Her character saw Cobb, Leo's character, at night or by himself in the sedated mode within the dreams. And she got curious and went into dream share and went into his shit and saw that he's reliving every night his memory of his wife who passed away. And they're in an elevator, and on every level in the elevator, there's a different memory, including the bad ones. And he can't let it go. He'd rather relive even the bad one and keep that there than to lose her.
Why was that, according to the movie?
What?
Why? What was the reason for that? They kind of explained
it's
in the
guilt.
movie. Yes.
It's guilt. He placed all the guilt on himself, right? And it's like me when I would relive these images of who I thought she was, my ex. Because, and here's what happens around the end too. Cobb, he sees her in the final end of the movie, where the whole dream world is like about to crash, and then he says like, I can't, like, you're not real, like this isn't real, like what I created, this, I can't imagine you with all your perfections, imperfections, your faults, and your everything. I can't create that. Like, this isn't you, and I'm sorry, I have to let you go. Yeah. And that like hit me really hard because I'm like holding on to this idea of who I thought she was.
Wow.
But she wasn't, because I have to remember, like, the difference was in real life, Mal was like I guess quote unquote perfect for him, even with all these certain whatever issues may have arose. And me, I'm looking through rose-colored glasses and like ignoring some of the fucking crazy shit that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'd rather hold on to that toxic memory of her than to let it go, which is super unhealthy. Because to me, that's like feeling like it's like part of my identity. It's like a part of my reasons to be on this earth by creating this like issue, right? Because we'd rather struggle. Sometimes we try to put ourselves into drama to give ourselves a purpose in this world. And that's Cobb. Even though Cobb, Mal would come in and ruin every fucking dream state expedition or like mission.
Everyone.
He couldn't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
He'd accept that toxicity.
Yep.
Than to completely get rid of her. So there's times where I'd hang out and I'd think of her, and she'd come up, and then I'd have to look at this list where I wrote like the crazy stuff she's done to try to bring me back to reality of who she is, really. And it would it's taken up my time with the people that matter. Because if you remember around the end, his dad's there.
Mm-hmm.
He meets his dad at the end. When all this time his dad was trying to help him, but he's like, no, I don't want your help. I don't want you. And he'd rather deal with it alone.
Yeah.
He didn't want help from Ellen Page's character either. So like, there's this whole fucking like, I wrote about this, and there's way more deeper stuff, but it's hard for me to really go deeper into the way that and express it more eloquently. Yeah. Because I'm getting a little emotional right now.
No, man. What's crazy is like you'll watch it, and I guess number one complaint against Inception is that it's so transparent and linear on what needs to happen, how to get there. There's not really a big twist, which for a movie, you need to at least be surprised at some moment. But that's the biggest complaint against Inception. Yeah. It's like great grand scale, all this stuff, but then like nothing surprises you. It's like very transparent from the beginning of the movie. Here's what we got to do. Here's the steps to do it. We've already revealed it's a dream inside of a dream, so that's not a surprise anymore. There's no more gimmicks. Yeah. Except for like maybe the mystery of what happens if you go another level deeper. You know what happens? Which happened,
right? Like they went to the 4th level.
Yeah. And that was kind of the twist. And then we realized the beginning of the movie is the same as the end, like they connect or whatever. But that being said, the fact you look at his character, like it's so obvious that you need to get rid of that like ghost person, that toxic ghost memory. It's sabotaging everything. It's so obvious. And it's so obvious that sometimes we don't realize, like, then why don't we see it in our own lives? If it's never obvious to the person that's in it.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
So his dream world where she's sabotaging shit and he still deals with it was my real world, where I'd still stick it out, even though she sabotaged things and caused drama, before my shows. And I'd be like, what the like, why are you doing this? Yeah. Because we'd rather have that than have nothing sometimes. Because we're too afraid. Because we're also too afraid to deal with what's really going on with our other outside relationships, right? He wasn't dealing with like his father. He was just so focused on that everything else around him didn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Which also was preventing him from, because he would say, I just want to get back to my kids. I just want to get back to my kids. But he says that, but he was too selfish and wanted to keep that, keep Mal around.
Yeah. No, totally. Like he did mean that. But at the same time, his actions showed what the greater truth was, is that he wanted to hold on to his past whenever that thing was right. Because he hadn't healed from it, he hadn't dealt with it. So his actions proved that what he prioritized more than his kids was, I don't know if you would say, you know what you would think. Would you say it would be keeping alive that guilt because he feels like he deserves the punishment and that's the only way he can process it? Or is it that he wants to just hold on to his ex-wife? Which one is it?
I think it all stems from the guilt first. More than anything, to be honest. The guilt. Because he didn't want to deal with the guilt of him planting that seed in her mind that nothing is real. Or that this world is not real. Because he incepted her, which made her, when they came out of the dream state, she still believed the real world wasn't real. Nothing was real. So he sabotaged that. So because he didn't want to fully deal with his own demons of how he he kind of killed her in that sense.
Yeah.
That is what that's why it's not good to avoid things, you know, and it manifested into like that's why I kept getting worse and worse and worse, because it gets stronger and stronger and stronger if you don't deal with that shit, if you don't address what the fuck is going on, right? Yeah,
which I guess ties into not amending, but like going along with what I said earlier of like do stuff, don't just sit in your room and like try to get in your head and think happier thoughts. But at the same time, you do have to mentally stay in your head and spend alone time with yourself and deal with your crap that's going on the inside. So it's a mixture of doing stuff, but then also like doing therapy, self-help therapy, where you're like, you know yourself, you know what you're dealing with.
But consciously though.
Yeah.
Consciously, not just sitting around watching Netflix.
Correct.
So like, because I stayed home like all day.
Uh-huh.
I edited videos, I think for like 5 hours or 6 hours. Uh-huh. But also the rest of the day, I typed like, I think 12 pages of just like thoughts. Just typing. As soon as I came up and I'd read the book on like fucking how to, you know, books that helped me realize what part I played.
Yeah.
And I just kept writing, and then like, I just kept typing. And that's how I was able to stay at home all day without getting depressed. I started to feel better because I'm doing something with myself to realize and try to figure things out, right? Instead of just, if I just sat there and didn't type or do anything, then you get fucked up.
Yeah. And you know, I don't know if you know this about yourself. Is this my phone or yours? That's your, okay, cool. I don't know if
my bad. Fuck. Oh shit. Okay.
I don't know if you know this about yourself, Mike, but a lot of attractiveness between people has to do, don't take this the wrong way, but has to do with similar goals. And so what makes you attractive to a lot of people you're meeting and people who want to be on your podcast is that you're doing something about your life. You're doing the work of making a podcast. I'm not doing a podcast. The people on your podcast, most of them aren't doing their own podcast, right? You're doing your podcast. You're doing something about your comedy career where you're going to open mics. You're like constantly doing stuff towards your goal.
Yes.
And so you're going to attract other people who either that's what they want to do or that's what they're doing. But you're not going to attract people who want to sit around and feel sorry for themselves. If that makes any sense.
No, I wrote about that on yesterday.
Okay, good.
Or yesterday and,
I'll be honest,
Friday.
The thing that I vibe with you, and I'm like, what makes you so appealing as a friend is the fact that I moved here to do stuff. I didn't move to LA to sit back and sort of just hope that success comes to me. Mm-hmm. And I struggle with getting myself out there more, not being discouraged, but at the same time, like that's why I moved here. And so I'm constantly wanting to either take classes or network, or everything I do has a lens of how is this going towards my goals? Mm-hmm. And that's how you are. And that's why we vibe.
No, that's true. That's why I like being around you too. And we can talk beyond just like shallow shit. We can fuck around, say stupid shit and like laugh, but also get deep, but also like, you know, tie that in with like what there is that understanding where we don't have to say it because we know, because we see what the other person does. Mm-hmm. And when I met the ex, I was broken. I had no job. I don't know who I was. Halfway through it is when I discovered this.
Yeah.
And that's when things started to really, that's when I really started to see it. And that's when my growth and trajectory was going up. And then she was still just kind of on the flatlands, just trying to pull down that kite. Mm-hmm. Like my kite's flying away. Fuck, I need that kite next to me.
Yeah.
I need this fucking kite. And then eventually like, she just let go of the kite because the kite was not flying the way she wanted it to. You know what I mean? Like just like,
yeah.
But I'm the kite, and I intentionally was making that happen.
What if, because I don't want you to be a kite, Mike. I want you to be a tiger, and she tried to have you on a leash.
Okay, you know, I like that better. I just thought a kite because I thought of the Kite Runner book for some reason.
I can see it though. Like I was like, I understand that. But
no, but it is more of a tiger though. You're right. Because she would try to do that, but I still like fight back and keep my like animalistic instincts.
Yeah. And so you're trying to return to where you belong, the wild. And she's like, I want to keep you as a house kitty.
Yeah.
I want to stay at home with you. And you're like, you can't thrive here. Like that analogy with a shark will only grow as big as its tank. So same thing, like you were meant to be like a house kitten for someone. Like you still have to reach your goals. You're a tiger, bro.
Yeah, because she thought that if she just puts up like a scratching post, I'll be happy. Yeah. She keeps putting on little mouse toys and stuff. I'm like, no.
Like, oh, you don't want cat food? Then I'll get like wet cat food.
Yeah,
Like, no,
it's funny because I was gonna say that earlier. Yeah, you got no. I was gonna say that shit, and you said it, so that's why. But the fact is, I'm a wild animal, and I'm trying to hunt for my shit. I don't want you to give me some shit, so I'm staying in this captive place.
Yeah,
I want to go out there and get mine. I'll find the food. I'll hunt the food, and I'll fucking kill it, and I'll eat that shit and feel fucking proud that I did it on my own.
Yeah. Beast mode. To stay in this analogy, because I feel like it's an accurate analogy, in the wild, it's like only the best get the food, right? And I'll be honest, entering into acting in this whole realm at 31, 32, and like having no previous real experience, especially on the business side, I'm constantly getting out hunted and outplayed for the jobs and stuff. And so that's the biggest test to me of my personal life is like, if I really want to do this, I can either complain about it and say, oh man, all these people, they already have connections, or, they have the right look. They look really strongly ethnic or strongly white. So they're not stuck in between like me, which is just an excuse. Like all the stuff, right? And complain about it. Or I could just get better, create my own opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's one of the things I've noticed about people who are successful in this industry is they don't wait for someone to give them the opportunities, So like, for example, I'm writing my own short films, I'm trying to connect with other people. Like we've talked about, we want to do stuff like that. And like, we're not waiting for someone to say, oh, hey, I have this script and can you audition for it? And like hope for those opportunities, which I will always audition, but at the same time, I'm not waiting for those to bring me work. Like I'm going to create my own work. So that being said, the same thing with the tiger and going to the jungle. Like there's a lot of tigers out there. There's a lot of lions. There's a lot of jaguars. There's a lot of animals hunting for the same food. And so you can either complain and sit at home and not get fed, or like you end up in a relationship where you get comfortable and someone else feeds you, or you can find better ways to improve yourself to make yourself have an edge to get that food. And that's where I'm at, trying to figure out how I can grow and get that edge so that way when I go into these auditions or trying to like build an actor's reel, which seems like super basic and easy, right? But I'm like, you have to get cast in short films. And I'm realizing, you don't. You can shoot your own like stuff, connect with people, make it look good, and create your own content for these actors' reels, or like, I don't know, create your own short films.
Taking action, because depression also comes from feeling helpless, and the helplessness a lot of times is a choice. The helplessness comes from waiting for other people to help you when you can help yourself. There is no perfect thing. You just fucking do. You just take action. Even if it's simply just, I don't have time to exercise. Like, shut the fuck up. Walk for 10 minutes outside. Do something. And that leads to something else. That leads to another thing. It's a fucking momentum.
Oh, bro, I remember there was something I want to talk about, which is like super unpopular and kind of clickbait. Yeah. Baity.
Okay, let's talk about it. Fuck it. Fuck it, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you want to talk about.
Unpopular opinion.
Damn,
I can't believe I'm about to go here. Masturbation is emasculating mankind.
I love that you said that.
Can I explain myself?
Yeah.
I feel like we're on the same page.
No, we are. I got to hear what you got to say.
Because most of the times, I'm just going to say this and y'all are going to be like, you're assuming a lot. Most of the times you masturbate because you're lonely, you're depressed, you're empty and bored. The reason, this is almost gross, but I'm going to go here because we need to talk about this, especially guys. We need to be able to talk about this stuff openly. Ejaculating is literally emptying yourself, but you think you're getting filled about it. So physically, you're actually doing the opposite of being filled. And a lot of people do this multiple times a day or like every day. And then it's like it's like a heroin fix where afterwards you're like, oh, you're like strung out because you're empty. And you actually need that testosterone and hormones to like that sex drive to be motivated in life. And a lot of us, we don't know how to deal with that. I know I didn't growing up, and we weren't allowed to talk about it with our parents and like other people. And you'd only hear about it in like high school. So a bunch of high schoolers who don't know anything about their hormones, who've never been in the situation, are trying to educate you on what it's like, which is stupid. So I remember my friends, they would joke about taking fat naps because they would literally like masturbate and then like fall asleep.
Fap naps.
Yes.
What the
That's depressing. And so like that was what you just thought was normal, right?
Yes.
And I will say that was one of the decisions, like everyone's heard no nut November, whatever, but like you can feel the difference when you're not masturbating all the time in your life, because if you don't allow yourself to escape that drive and that like pestering feeling of you have to grow and move on and do something in your life, then instead of like ejaculating the easy way, which is the lazy way, which doesn't actually do anything to fulfill you, then you start to look, what am I going to do? You stop becoming so passive with your life. And I chose to work out with it, to work out and to read and to like learn other things. But I remember when I was depressed during this moment in the past 2 years, and I would choose to go to masturbation as a result, I wouldn't do anything about it. I'd start watching Netflix. I wouldn't leave the house. I would get more depressed. So anyways, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
This is why we're fucking bros, man.
Yes.
That's exactly what I think, and I would tell people, and people would argue with me about this.
Of course.
Because why? Even when you Google
addicted,
it,
bro.
When you
They're
Google
addicted.
it too, they say it's healthy, it's healthy. They don't think about the psychological impact. By the way, I did it last night because I was sad. That's why. Because I always tell people, I always tell people. When you're happy, do you masturbate? No. When I'm very happy, I'm not like, oh, I need to go masturbate. The only times I want to masturbate is if I'm sad, anxious, depressed, or if I play too many video games, which ties in with not moving enough, not doing what I need
and
to
you're
do.
up till like 2 or 3 a.m.
So you're more likely
like,
just to masturbate because you're detaching from your consciousness.
Yes, we're being honest with you. I know you guys have probably done it, and we've done it. So we're just being honest here.
I love talking about.
We need to be able to
this
talk
stuff.
about this.
I'm 100% on the same page as you because I've been avoiding masturbating as much as I could since the breakup, and I've been good on it. I actually haven't been watching porn, none of that, no escape mechanisms besides last night. Like I said, I'll
even attack the $1 billion industry and say that porn is a place people go to for a fix when they're depressed as well.
No, facts. It's an escape. It's an instant gratification thing, which makes you feel like you're not supposed to feel that good for that for doing nothing.
Yes,
you teach yourself that it will come to you. It teaches entitlement. It teaches you that you don't have to go out there and go on dates or do. And I'm not saying you have to go out there and like have sex, but go like you do. You channel that energy into the gym, into your acting. I like to channel that. This is why I would argue with my ex about I can't have sex with you in the daytime because I need to use that energy to go. And she told the couples therapist he has a low libido. I'm like, no. Well, first of all, we have issues, and that's also why I don't want to fuck you. But also, you want to have sex as a bandage to heal issues.
Yes.
I would try to emotionally like fix things, and like I took 2 weeks off to like heal myself and heal us, and she still didn't see it. She was like, you don't fuck me as much as you want to, because that's when I feel healed. And I'm like, you use that as an escape mechanism. You don't deal with your shit. And I called her out on it, and she just could not hold herself responsible because I saw the pattern. We'd keep having sex just to try to fix things, and I'd still feel horrible. And I'm like, this is not good. This is not healthy. And sex is an escape as well too. Sometimes, like a lot of times, like all this hookup culture, it makes you feel like guys, conquest. That's why guys, oh, I fucked her and I fucked it. It's like, dude, when you brag about that all the time, it's because you have nothing else going on. And I've called out guys about this, like guys that are like players and shit. Like, yeah, fuck this dude. And I'm like, you go out every weekend get pussy? He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, oh, you do that because you don't know what you want out of life, and you're actually lonely, and you do want a relationship, and you want somebody to connect with, but you feel lost, and it just makes you feel good for that moment. But after you finish, you feel lonely, even lonelier than before. And I've called out guys on that, and they're like, I guess you're right. I do that because I used to be that guy, and I want them to learn some shit by somebody calling them out on their bullshit, because I don't want to keep hearing you bragging about pussy. Shut the fuck up, right? I'm getting kind of mean here, right? No, but see, that's why I'm so glad you're the first friend or guy, period, that brought that up. So that's why we get each other.
Yeah.
Guys don't agree with me on this. Guys do not agree with me on this because they're in denial. They don't have their self-fucking awareness, right? I jacked off last night, and I didn't even feel good. I just did it. I'm like, fuck. Like, it never feels good after. Even when with sex with the ex, it didn't feel good because we're trying to put a blanket on a pee. Like the vegetable pee. You can't fucking do that. That's why you have to connect. That's why I'm like, dude, whatever girls I date in the future, we have to be like able to be best friends, and it has to go beyond just like, yeah, I want them to be attractive, of course, like that. But they got to be able to hold themselves responsible, be accountable, and do what we're doing. Not the same thing, but like take control of their own life and have goals and actually pursue them, right? So yes, the masturbation thing, I think it's extremely unhealthy mentally for the mind. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it releases all these, it gives you this reward, like you said, and like the endorphin rush. And it's great. It's like, but people like, I feel like it's like, a heroin fix or like a drug fix. You're like, you know, but what did you do to earn it, you know? And what's it making you do? It doesn't make you then go, cool, I'm going to go up and conquer my day. I've never had a feeling where I'm going to like improve myself after doing that. I do that because I'm like, I'm stuck here, going nowhere. I just need to feel something, you know?
Exactly. Just feel anything remotely close to good. And here's what I've been learning too the past couple of days. And this isn't something that I made up. This is something I learned from the books I read. Yeah. Specifically, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. He talked about happiness is derived from sacrifice, which means, for instance, the gym. How often do you like really want to go? You're like, yeah, right?
Bro, never.
Never. But how good do you feel after?
I feel like a man.
There's a level of sacrifice we have to intentionally put ourselves into. Like we have to sacrifice intentionally, not because somebody else forced us to where happiness, that's where happiness comes from, right? Like the grind, auditioning, the fact that you went, even if you didn't get it, you still feel good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the large overall scheme, big picture is you're working towards something. You're learning every audition because auditioning is a skill in itself, right? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's a sacrifice. Yeah, right.
I hate
but you know you have to do it for the bigger goal, the greater goal. So you feel happier when you audition than when you don't. Correct? Because you could be like, well, it goes bad. They don't care about me. And I just want to be around positive shit. It's like, then you're gonna go back to sadness. That's why too much self-help, just where positive will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I took a cold shower this morning, and I'm gonna start taking cold showers every day. I don't want to do it. It's gonna be uncomfortable. But as I do it, as I adapt to it, I start laughing. I start smiling. I'm like, yeah, I feel fucking good. I'm cheering. I'm hooting, hollering, and then I'm ready for the rest of the day. It primes your mind for to find joy in the discomfort.
Yeah.
Because there's a level of success that comes from that. Like I did something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I take cold showers as well. Well, I end my shower cold because I really do like hot showers. But I end them where I'm like, I slowly put the water down. I don't do it right away. Like I'm not like jump into a cold pool kind of difference, but I eventually go because I want to end my shower cold. It also helps when you get out the shower because you won't feel as cold as opposed to like a hot shower and you go out into the air and you're like, oh crap, it's really cold. You don't feel that way.
I was doing that though, but I had to stop because I realized I'm still giving myself a crutch versus jumping right into it. Because it's similar to snoozing an alarm.
Okay.
What's better? You get the fuck up or you snooze it 5 times?
Snooze it 5 times and cuddle with my dog.
Okay. Yeah,
this morning I snoozed it twice. I'll be honest. Yeah. I did.
No, dude, I do it all the time too. I'm not.
But I'm with you. Like again, it's that mindset of like you're ready to go, and it's really easy to stay in bed and be depressed. Look on your phone. Next thing you know, it's been an hour. Exactly. I've done that so many times. Still to this day, even though I'm ready, like I need to make the mindset of I get up and just start doing things. So I'll feel better when I'm actually start doing things.
It's a constant struggle, man.
Yeah,
it's something that we're always gonna have to deal with. But it's how long do we stay in those moments? You know, and it's nothing to beat ourselves up over because that's just biologically, like instinctually, that's we're created. That's the lizard brain, avoiding pain, avoiding discomfort, being as quote unquote comfortable as we can be. So I'm really glad that we connect and view masturbation in the same way. And how do you view sex though?
I view sex. What were you touched on the base of? Why are you using it? So I'm already going to come from like a Judeo-Christian background of like it's best and healthiest and it's meant to be shared in the confines of marriage because you need to actually develop a relationship with this person and then really be tied to them to do it because then it strengthens that. Yeah. So that's my mindset. But I will say, I feel like universally we can all agree, no matter what your background is, that you shouldn't use sex as a drug or a fix. Agreed. Or as escapism. So that's my view. And then, like you said, talking to people who like get lots of pussy and like, you know, have a lot of game, they're constantly like sleeping around. I don't view that as like, oh wow, you're such a. I kind of feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry that that's the only way that you're finding. I'm sorry that you need that.
Yeah.
Because my view of sex is that you leave a little bit of yourself with the person you're with, and if you're constant with other people, eventually, like, your identity starts to get skewed. Like, who are you?
That's a good point. And you know what? You know what? Here's what I've been thinking about too. It's not game. The women that are willing to sleep with guys like that go to bars, that, you know, without really having any substance between each other, they're just hooking up with other broken people.
Yeah.
So is it game if it's easy to sleep with that person who doesn't give a fuck?
Yeah.
Who's not pursuing shit in their lives? Those are the easiest people to sleep with. Because before I used to be proud, I'm like, I got game, because I know how to spit game, but it's just manipulation. Everybody's manipulating each other, trying to make it seem like they're both
everyone's
up to
just
some
using
shit.
each other.
Yeah, and that's why I said I'm not gonna have sex like that. Like, look, if something kind of happens randomly and like it just happens to be there, like I'm probably gonna fucking do it. But I've been avoiding. I've been good. I've had opportunities.
Yeah, dude.
Break up.
You've actually, what's funny is like
I've said
not
no.
meaning to.
Yeah.
It's like we've been keeping each other accountable in a way because we're just so open about it.
Yeah.
So you'll tell me stuff. I'll be like, okay, Mike, good for you. Like not knowing that, you know, like I wasn't expecting that text.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, dude, yeah, actually, I had a chance, and I said no because I know what I want. And I was like, thank you, Mike. I need to hear that.
Because I would have never done that.
And the thing is, I wish I had more people like that in my life because you become your environment and you become like your friends.
That's fucking true.
So when you find friends like that, when you're not used to that, you don't realize how much you need that in your life. And bro, I need those kind of friends in my life, especially in LA where it's just like,
dude, hypersexualized as fuck and everybody's attractive, but they're nuts.
Yes. And plus everyone's like, yeah, let's just have sex. Let's just hook up. And they'll like drop hints. Like it's happened to me so many times on set and I'll be like, and if I'm not used to it, so then like I don't realize how like invested I'm starting to like think about this person that way, and I'm like starting to fantasize
because they planted that seed.
Yeah,
they know what manipulation.
And luckily, I'll admit this, I don't have game, so I do nothing about it. But if I did have game, I would be in trouble, bro.
I don't think that has to do with game, dude. I think because if you wanted to, you could just be like, "Hey, you want to hang out this weekend?" That's it.
Is that easy?
If you wanted to.
Dang, bro. See, that's how little game I have. I didn't know. I thought you had to like do this like a whole elaborate thing.
No. See, fuck this. I'm glad we're talking about this.
Okay.
So basically, like, too many people base attraction off of manipulation, where you have to kind of figure out what's going on, and that's why it leads to these unhealthy lack of vulnerability relationships, because that's just how they are, and that's what they think they have to do, and that's a lot of dating, period, especially in LA. And the real secret that I'm learning, that I've found, is like also just being vulnerable. Why else do friendships work so well when you're both being vulnerable and real and putting yourself out there?
Yeah.
Versus those other friends you had where you're both kind of like unsure about each other and you're both kind of manipulating. You're like, oh, we're playing the game type shit. Same thing in dating. There is fuck game. It's all a creation, a social bullshit construct to get us to just be stuck, and ties in with like self-help industry, where just positive, like manipulation. Like I told myself, no more. I'm going to be upfront with women that I really feel connected to, and just be like, look, I like you. Like that's it. Like no more like, hey, we could hang out, or just, you know, no more bullshit. I'm done with the bullshit. I'm putting down strong boundaries. That's why I cut out that former friend. I'm keeping friends like you closer. Like no more bullshit, more vulnerability, more truth, more polarization. So you cut out the people that don't matter, and the people that want to be with you really want to be with you because of you. Fuck you are.
Yeah.
That's my spiel.
Dude, that's good. No, I'm with you, bro. Like I'm gonna be straight up. Like if I moved to LA 5 years ago when I wanted to, or 3 years ago, I would have been sucked up in this machine. Not just like sexual. I'm talking like I would have mindset wise. I'd be like, okay, well, now I have to become like a certain type of person. I have to say certain kind of things to fit in here, because heaven forbid you think differently than other people.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, like every guy I meet here, they do yoga. They're like Buddhist, all this stuff, which maybe they are. I'm not saying to judge. I'm saying for me,
most aren't.
It'd be really easy for you to be like, oh yeah, I'm so in touch with my artistic side, and I listen to these certain indie bands, and like I do yoga, and I really believe in self-healing. Girls fall for that crap, and it like makes them weak here. Like whatever reason they want to connect with that, it like opens up their sexual chakras, I guess. I don't know if that's even a thing. So I'll be straight up, like I don't do yoga except when I need to stretch my hamstrings, because like I have really tight hamstrings. I'm not Buddhist. I will study everything. There are parts of Buddhism I like there's this one Buddhist exercise where you breathe in negativity and you exhale like the opposite of it. So for example, it's like if I'm feeling tired, I'll inhale tired and I'll exhale energy. or motivation.
Interesting. Opposite of what most people say. We just inhale the good, exhale the bad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's also a good acting thing. And I only know this because I was listening to a podcast that Chris Evans was on. He said that because he's strongly Buddhist. He actually really is Buddhist. And he was saying that was one thing that he learned from Buddhism that helped him in his acting. And I was like, I like that. Especially when approaching a scene. Because it doesn't matter how I feel in that moment. How does my character feel in the moment? So I'll breathe in how I feel, deal with it, and exhale what the character's supposed to feel. So that way what you see portrayed on camera, the exhale, will be what the character feels.
Oh my God. I'm going to apply that. Anyways.
But I'm not Buddhist. Again,
he's not Buddhist.
The point of this was that I'm not Buddhist. I'll learn some things about Buddhism, but I'm not going to say certain things to connect with girls so that way I can get their attention.
Exactly. Which
but
is
I would have.
That's ties back to manipulative behavior.
And it's insecurity. Like, I'm obviously not enough in myself. And
yes.
I don't feel that. So I need to be a version of me, which is like the show You, by the way, which y'all would agree that dude's psycho. I have to be a version of me that makes it look like we organically connect on a deeper level, but it's not the real me. Why would you want someone to connect with a version that's not you?
That's being needy.
It's being super insecure.
Yeah. So
they're in love with an imposter of you.
Exactly. Which is what I did in my last relationship, and she did, and no more of that anymore.
You're not the only one. We all do it, even in friendships.
Yeah, that is true. But you know what? This friendship is not like that.
That's right.
We're very real. We're very upfront, honest. And you know what? Josh, thank you for being on the podcast. I know you got to go. I would love to talk to you for.
We could talk forever, bro.
I know, dude. Like, fuck. This is how I know we're homies.
That means we need a part 2.
Yeah, no, we are gonna do part 2. We're gonna do part 2. So, yeah, you want to plug your Instagram or any social media, whatever?
Yeah. My Instagram, actually, all my social media is like SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. At Green Joshua 13. 13 is my favorite number.
Green Joshua without an E at the end.
Yeah, no E. So
GREN Joshua
JOSHUA numbers 13.
13. Joshua. Boom. Green Joshua 13. Okay. All right. Any last words you want to say?
If anything I said was helpful, please contact Mike or me. Share it. Post it. I love it. I will say there are parts of this I was nervous about talking about because I used to teach kids theater and I used to be a youth pastor. So I'll have kids that follow me that are like way too young for this content. But now that the older I get and talk to parents, it's funny, like when you talk to parents, you realize adults are human because I'm an adult now. I realize they need to talk to their kids about this before they hear about it from either like porn, the movie industry, music, or their friends. Like, you should be able to have this conversation with your parents about like masturbation, sex, like those kind of things. I feel like if your parents really love you and care about you, they should be the ones that tell you about it. So you shouldn't go into high school never talking to your parents about it. But as Asians never talk to their kids about this stuff.
Nope.
And it's like crazy because it'll be funny because you'll hear from your like white friends. They'll be like, yeah, my parents gave me the talk. And you're like, what's a talk?
I know, right?
What's the talk?
I know what a beatdown is. I know what being yelled at is.
Yeah. I know what like getting chased with a slipper and then being told like to study for another 5 hours is. But yeah, you don't get the talk about, and then I had to like learn on my own. And then you learn sex ed from a coach in high school. Like, you kidding me? Like, no wonder people mess up when they're trying to like not get pregnant. You learn from a coach in high school.
And they're fucking sucking their way to fucking sadness. But
yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, guys, this has been the Set Breaker Podcast. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you next time.
Woo! Peace.
Yeah.